Okay, let me just start with the introduction. I think we have a couple of people, and I guess more people will keep on joining in as we go along. So thank you so much for coming online and attending this webinar. We will be just a second. Okay, sorry. There was another tab open. So we are also streaming this webinar on YouTube. So that's why there was a double sound. So, anyways, today's discussion will be about top data analyst project ideas for career growth. The topics that we would be covering are why these hands-on projects are important for a data analyst for a career into data analysis, tips on selecting the right projects to build your skills, then what are the top project ideas that you can implement, and if there are some resources and online courses, certifications, resources that you can sort of go through for data analysis or for building projects. So for this, I'm quite happy to introduce Bhukar Kaushik. He's a data analyst since the last 4 years, and he will be sharing his insights and his experience based on what he has done in his career. So you can post in your questions in the Q&A box. The Q&A box is there. You can just see it right in the bottom of the screen. We will be first going through the presentation. Once the presentation is over, we will take up any questions related to the topic. So without any further delay, Bhukar, please begin.
Hello everyone. As Niharika told you guys that I am a data analyst for 4 years. So currently I'm working at Accidents as a data analyst and catastrophic modeling analyst. So I am going to tell you the need of hands-on project for your career as a data analyst. Since as I have been told that many of you are freshers, right strategy to select the projects and some tips how can mention them in your resumes, and another few things like where you can learn the skills needed for being a data analyst, and how can you approach to the interviewers and special mention these in your resumes. So first, let's go to the importance of projects, the needs of hands-on project on for data analyst. So the first thing is that projects help you to projects help prove to employer that you have a relevant experience for the job you are hoping to land. So what happens is when we start a career, when are like we are a fresher, we just get out of the college and starts to look for a job opportunities, we need to show that we have a relative experience, we know the what we are going into. Employer should know that they should they should know and they should accept that you have the relevant experience, you know how things work and you know how data is being handled. So projects are a good way to do that. So that is why this is the one reason that projects are important, right? And second one is like relevant project shows commitment towards the job profile. What happens is when we like in today's world, everyone is running towards being a data analyst, but an organization needs to see how much you are interested in the domain, right? So if let's say you are running towards a job profile which is for a sales analyst, for a technical analyst, but you have a project, so let's say relating to the analysis of, I don't know if it's a Zomato analyst or OTT analyst. So that shows that you are like committed towards your job profile and you are ready to be a part of the team which is processing data as a sales analyst, or which is processing data as a sales profile, right? It shows the exposure to the industry problems. So what happens is when we hear that we are for an example, we say that we are appearing for the role of a data analyst, which will for a company, for an organization which will process the data of a sales. So there are chances that the problems you hear, the problems you think will happens are completely different to the industry problems. Every industry has its own sets of problem, every organization has their own way of dealing those problems. So when we do the projects which are required by that organization, which let's say we are doing a project by using Power BI. the tool we use for a data analysis and data visualization. So when we use that tool, we get to know that how to use that tool for industry problems, and that help us to convince the employer, the interviewer, that you have the idea of the tool, you have the knowledge of basic knowledge at least to how to work on the tool, and you can experience, you can showcase him that how will you will be helping them to solve the industry problems. What happens is many times in the interviewer itself asks, they mention that they will be requiring a person who is good for in Power BI, SQL, or Excel, or anything, or Python maybe. So what happens is they gave you a problem, they gave you a problem at the time of your interview only. So at that time, if you have the basic knowledge, if you have done any project, or if you have the exposure of the tool which you are being like applying for, so that will help you to get through that. That will help you to showcase yourself that you have the basic knowledge, and at least the basic knowledge, or you have the good knowledge to solve the problems, right? Another thing is it helps to fill the gaps for professional experience for, at most the cases, recent graduates or the people who are shifting or making a career change, or like making a transition to the data analyst. Or let's say there are some there are some scenarios where a person has to go on sabbatical, they have to, maybe medical issues or something, they had to leave their job for longer period of time, or they have gap or in their professional experience between jobs, or maybe bit after the graduation and after the job. So projects helps to fill those gaps. This helps to justify the period of time while you were being sabbatical, while you were being not employed. So it helps to give the employer an idea that you were gaining knowledge of the industry, you were gaining domain experience, and you were getting ready, or being ready for the industry yourself. You can only not just get it done by the projects, you can also do it by freelancing projects also. You can pick up some freelancing work that is from Fiverr and Upwork, and do that. Internships are also good way to fill the professional experience gaps. If the person is like in last semester of their graduation, or right after the graduation, right? Another main thing is, and the main situation why I would say the data projects are important, is that data is very, very valuable to an organization, or and that is why organization needs to know whether you are capable of handling data. So what happens is, when we go through some courses, or let's say when we join an institute and everything, we work on a very, very small set of data. Let's say it have thousands of rows, maybe hundreds of rows, thousands of rows, and a few or columns, if I talk about the data in spreadsheet in an Excel. So, but in a real world scenario, it does not work like that. We get a lot of data in different forms, not just Excel spreadsheets. We get PDFs, we got Word documents. And it is not limited to hundreds of rows only. Sometimes we get hundred thousands of rows, like that. I would say, like, if in terms of Indian language, I would say in lakhs of rows and hundreds of columns. So data is very valuable, and that the size of data is not like very easy to manipulate. It is very much hard to handle. So an organization needs to know that someone has a previous experience in handling such kind of data, such big size of data. They can manipulate it, such big type of data, because data loss is a very much possibility. Like when we are processing something on SQL, we are processing a data, we are manipulating or filtering out some columns, or processing the data on SQL, or maybe in Excel only. So data loss is a very much a big possibility. Even if we try to connect Excel to our Power BI, or SQL servers to our Power BI servers, then there are many, many chances that we might issue some data loss. So, but the data is very much valuable. We cannot afford to lose the data. So a company needs to know whether a person is capable of handling such kind of big data. So projects, if someone has done projects with some this kind of huge data, that which you can easily get from Kaggle only, which I will tell you later. So if an organization gets an idea that the person is capable or have some experience at least in handling such kinds of data and making insights out of making outside insights of the data and showcase some results, then it is a big plus point, and it is considered as a good thing to for an interviewer and for an interview as well, right? So next thing is project selection. It is, you need to keep it very simple, but it should be in a way that in a way that organization should understand that you have a variety of exposure. So basically talking, if you are selecting a project which you needs to like showcase for an industry, you needs to select a project which will showcase yourself. So select a project which requires 2 to 3 skills from a, like if I talk about the skills which are being required as a data analyst, so majorly talking, we need someone who is good in Excel. It is an underrated tool but very much important tool. SQL, and after that Power BI and Python. So I would suggest you to select a project. Let's say you are doing a project, so make sure you include at least 2 to 3 skills in that. That means you are using Excel as well, then you are using SQL as well, and then you are using Power BI. If not all these things, at least 2 to 3 things, because it makes an impression, it makes an like it gives an idea to the person who is taking your interview that you are comfortable with like switching from tools. You are not just like oriented to Excel only, you are not oriented to SQL only, or you are not oriented to Python or Power BI only, because there are scenarios in the industry where the projects need, when actual live project, when you are working on the floor, that there are scenarios when uh, requirements change and the skills you are working or the tool you are working also change. There may become there come maybe comes an instance when you are working on SQL to process the data, but you get such small set of data that like uploading it to the SQL and manipulating the SQL every time you get it is not feasible. So you need to handle it on Excel only, because you cannot import it in the on SQL and wait for it to import and create the tables and write queries. So you just have to be good enough in Excel as well to like create a short or get an idea of that data, right? So another thing is select a project based on your career path, which I already told you that make sure to get select a project, like if you are selecting, if you are like applying for a job as a sales analyst, right? So make sure you, the project you are working on, the data which it has is related to the sales analyst. It could be related to the Zomato sales analysis or anything. If you are working for an e-commerce company like Flipkart, Myntra, or Amazon, then make sure your projects are based on the e-commerce data set, right? You m- you like create the dashboards in such a form that e-commerce websites are showcasing their data set. Create insights in such a form that e-commerce websites needs, right? Another thing is project should reflect that you have exposure to a variety of scenarios which could occur. It is much more related to the multiple skills which I already talked about. But you also need to, if even if you are using single skill or you are using a single tool, then make sure you have you should try to showcase different scenarios which you have occurred through the data set. It should be not just very much simple that you just downloaded a data set from a cable, processed it, and created a dashboard on Power BI. For an example, you can see there, for an example, let's say I have gotten a data set on a Excel spreadsheet. I used it and processed it and everything. But in real world, it does not work like that. I may get a data on PDF. So there were scenarios in my past companies when I used to get data on PDF forms, even in different languages. Like there was a project where I was getting data from my client in Latin language, right? So in even in Latin language, I cannot complain about that. Obviously, that why I'm getting it in Latin, not in American English or British English. So what we used to do is copy that PDF data and translate it on Google, and then take out the meaningful information which we needed. So try to have such different scenarios in your data which can show that you are adaptable to change. If you get some, like if your company is providing a PDF data or Word data, then you are adaptable to change it, not just working on an Excel. That is just one example of it, right? Another thing is it should be beneficial to an organization in terms of saving time or money or both. Now, when I say saving time, it means in respect to the saving man hours. Like for example, I give you an example of my own. When I was working in Genpact, I was on in a team where we were doing my daily task. I was associate to a project, and I was doing my daily task. Other than that, I was presented with an opportunity where my colleague asked me to help her with some website automation task, right? So there was a few tasks on a particular website we use. So there was a few tasks which were fixed in a sequence, and we were that those were being done manually, right? So what I did, I write a Python script. I wrote a whole complete Python script to automate that website. So what did that is, when I wrote that Python script, that single person did not have to go to the website, log in into that website, and click on the sections which were fixed and everything. What Instead of doing that manually, instead of a person doing that, my script was doing that. So in terms of so how did it help the organization? How did it help my company and my peers? It save a person's man time. It saves man time and help my company to allocated the resource to some another work, right? So your project selection should be focused, the output should be focused on saving time or money. Let's say you are creating a dashboard, right? Instead of like making the filters or creating different reports, you should try do it like a create a Power BI dashboard in which you have indexes, and you can like click it, and it will clear, for an example, clear it on a some specific purpose you are looking for, and it changes the whole data manipulations, it changes the whole analysis results as the person wants, right? So it should be in such a way that it saves time, mostly time, for a company or for an organization, right? Now here are some things which you can remember, or which you can like include while mentioning your projects in your resume. So your project headline should contain all the keywords which are in the job profile you are looking for. So what happens is, when you apply for a job profile, you already know what kind of job profile it is and what kind of skills they are asking for. So try to make a project headline in such a way that it contains all the keywords. Right, as in today's world, all the resumes are being filtered by an algorithm. So what it does, that algorithms pick up that resume and find that keywords, and the resume which has the most relevant keywords and the most appropriate keywords, it select that resume. So try to include that project name in such a way that it has most of the keywords which are required as a skill in that job profile. Right. Now, another thing is, try to keep 3 projects in the resume. 3 is good enough. 3 is maximum. You do not need to access more than 3. But if you are mentioning, just mention the ones which you have very good command over them, which are very interesting, like the one did for my Genpact, the scraping part and the web automation part. That was a very interesting one, and it saved a lot of time for my organization. So I mentioned in it my resume, right? So another thing is, have good command of your project, and I explain it well in resume, like I just said. Now mention your project and write just below down, write all the work you have done in it, what was the problem statement, and in how did you solve it, what was the output. You do not need to write the complete para or like a note about it. Just mention the problem statement and how you solved it, using what skills. So that would be good enough. And if the project headline is good enough, if the project you wrote the project headline in a catchy way, then the interviewer would ask himself or herself that what was the project about, and how did it help the organization, right? Another thing is, if it would be good if your project is deployed. So it is most of the time for the people who are working in data science, like they are applying a machine learning algorithm. So and they deployed a project using Heroku on a website or some other platform on a, like their project is actually live on a website. So there is a project which I created, that was a flight fare prediction system which is hosted on a website and can, so when you deploy a project, it gives an idea, it gives a sense that your project is ready to use. It has some, if you don't you have completed the project from starting to end, you know how it works, you know the pipelines, you know how to process the data, and you have a good experience in like through and one phase to another phase, like in the whole project. Even if you're developing a Power BI model, you're probably developing a Power BI dashboard, try to have a good try to deploy it. If you cannot deploy it, you can, what can you do is just create your GitHub ID. If you do not know about it, you create a GitHub, go to the GitHub, create your GitHub ID, and upload your scripts, upload your projects, and upload your notes over there, and just share the link so that an interview or person could see that you are capable of handling the projects you have done. So projects completely on your own. So right. So another thing is, which is very I do not need to mention it, but I have. So do not mention incomplete projects. It gives an wrong impression that you might leave the project in between. You lost interest of the project in between. So never mention your incomplete projects. Even if you are working, to just tell them that you are working, you what phase you have completed, what phase do you have reached, what part of the project is still left, and how you are going to complete that in what time, and how you are going to manage that. But do not mention an incomplete project, right? Another thing is, here are few project ideas which you can use. These are for all data analysts. You can use these ideas for on Excel, Power BI, and another tool for data visualizations, Tableau. You can even get these data sets for these ideas from Kaggle, and you can use Python as well for these projects. So first is OTT analysis. That is the OTT analysis is not just limited to the OTT platform. It includes the social media, all the social media platforms as well. So the potential of data analysis, like I would say, Instagram is also included in this. It should be it is just like all the social media program. How much how do I say it? If we talk about a YouTube channel, how much if there is a new YouTube channel, how it reacts to the trend, how it is created to the, how much audience it is attracting, how many subscribers it is getting. Or even if we compare two different OTT platform like Hotstar and everything, and Amazon Prime, so how they are different, and how Hotstar is good, and what Amazon can do to improve their subscribers or viewers, or retain their viewers, right? Another one is e-commerce analysis. It is much more it is a basic one, which most many of the people do, but it is very effective because it covers a ground for a lot of industries. You can like every business is running on the e-commerce platform originally, not just the selling or the like Amazon or Flipkart or Myntra. Even the online teaching platforms and hospitals and everything are using e-commerce platform. So if you get to analyze those data sets, uh, create outputs from those data sets, it will cover a lot of ground, a lot of industry you can go to. Another one is text analysis. So this is the project. It will help you if you get into the further domain of natural language processing, which is a domain subset of data science only. So if you go into the field of natural language processing, it will help you not only text analysis but also the voice analysis. So it like just to give you an example, let's say there is a prime minister of some country which is who is giving a speech. Even let's say, even if we talk about Russia, so what it was very much effective, and it helped many nations. It actually helped many nations. This kind of data and analyzing this kind of data helped many nations while we in last 2021 or something, 2022, I guess, when the Russia Ukraine war started. So many companies, many organizations did was they analyzed how whole speech of both Russian president and Ukrainian president, and they tried to find the insight, their behavior, the speech. They said, as we all know, that their speeches are very diplomatic. So they try to investigate and they try to find the patterns which could reveal their attitudes toward the upcoming time towards the war. So this kind of text analysis is very much important, not only for such a political person, but all, even if a company states a public statement, issues a public statement, then these types of analysis is very much in handy to understand how those companies will react to the markets, right? So this come under a natural language processing. If you go to further, then one must include this, right? Another one is credit worth analysis. This is another one is most common, I would say, uh, project idea, but it is very much handy for the people. It is very much useful for the people who is oriented towards the finance, oriented towards the bank, as in this you get the data of a bank and you try to analyze this, how the credit system works, how what can you do. It helps to detect the fraud detections, right? You can not only use machine learning algorithm on it, you can as well use simple data analysis techniques and use stats to find the fraud detections and to get the fraud detection masters risk modeling as well. This is the something which is related to my job. So for risk modeling, for catastrophic risk modeling, we use such kind of data and we try to find out that how our industry is prone to the threats, how our industry is prone to the catastrophic events which will happen, right? So these were the projects idea one could consider, right? Now, talking about the skills which one should know for being a data analyst. So here are some website and resources one can go through. Believe me, these are all free websites, all free resources. You do not the one I have mentioned here. You don't need to pay a single penny for these, and these are all the best you can get to start your career or to start your learning as a data analyst. So starting with Excel, as I told, Excel is a very underrated tool, but is very much important. It is very like, how do we say, it comes to a war, that the front troops are the one who take the first hit, right? So Excel is one of those tools. When we receive the data, it is majorly most of the time in form of Excel spreadsheets. So most of the analysis, most of the first visit we go through the data, first impression of the data we get through is in the Excel tool itself. We manipulate, we find our findings, and we check whether what kind of data it is, how many outliers are there, how many missing values are there, how many parameters are there which are correlated. Everything is, we can use different algorithms for this, but the first impression is we get in Excel only. So it is a very important tool. मतलब one must excel the Excel, if I say. So how can you get through it? There are, these all are hyperlinks. If you get the PDVD, these all are hyperlinks. But even if you don't get this video, use Microsoft official documents. They are the best documents one can get. They are free video training sessions. In that videos, you can get the advanced Excel part of Excel, like using the formulas, using charts and everything. Next one comes the Trump Excel. It is a website where you can both get the documentations and videos to learn how to use the Excel formulas and Excel dashboards. Now this is a VBA and macro. This is a Excel development part. It is not much required, or I won't say it is much more needed for a data analyst. It is a VB. The VB and macros part is the Excel developer part. What it does is you create tools in Excel only, so that they will automate your task. I can give you an example. It's the practical example what I was dealing through it. I get a data which were 100 or 1,000 in rows. Let's say, if I talk in India terms, let's say 2.5 lakhs. 240,000 rows. So what for every row I had to put the number like starting from 1 to all the 240,000. So it would be a manual task which is prone to errors and which will take time. So we built a macro, we built a tool which did the task for us. So it is not much more required for the data analyst, but it is good to have. It gives company an idea, it's give an organization an idea that you are willing to go in depth for the tool you are preparing for, or the tool you are showcasing. But must include is advanced Excel formulas. Do not just go with like learning Excel. It won't matter if you don't include advanced Excel topics in it, like conditional formatting, dashboard creation, and formulas. Right. Another tool which is again very much important and for a data analyst, even if you are a data scientist. So this tool is very much important. The one is SQL. So you can learn it from the W3 schools. Many of you must know it. W3 schools is a website where you can get the documentation parts, but it is explained in very basic and layman language. And I don't think you will get any kind of problem. You will face any kind of issues while learning through W3 schools. It will cover mostly major all of the topics required to start your data SQL career. Another one is KUD Venkat SQL Server. This is this is a YouTube channel. This guy KUD Venkat, which I learned from, which most of my colleagues learned from in their time. So if you go through his videos, you will get all the data, all the insights of SQL. It will cover all the topics. Another one is Power BI. Again, sorry, my bad. Another one is Power BI. Uh, Again, Microsoft official resources, which you can go through. Power BI tutorial. Again, this is a YouTube channel which you can go through. And then there are DAX queries. This is a must include. DAX queries. You cannot like appear for an interview or go for a job profile, or where a Power BI is required, Power BI skill is required, and you do not include DAX queries. So DAX queries are must. There may be some courses you are opt, or maybe some people who are teaching you, but they do not include DAX queries. So ask them to include DAX queries. DAX queries are must for Power BI, right? Another one is Python. So Python tutorial, like how Python starts basic, it's how do you install it and everything basic, like its classes, its data structure, its saving files and everything. You can cover from these two people on YouTube. One is Mosh and another one is Krish Nayak. Maybe you have heard of Krish Nayak a lot, many of you have. But the and last one is the Python libraries which you will need for a data analysis. This is not this. These are not the libraries for data science. These are the for data analysis. You need them for data science, but not only these. There are few other libraries as well. Like for that data, if we talk about the data analysis, then there are pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib, and Seaborn. Again, go to their official release. There is a website. There is a website just numpy.org, pandas.org, and matplotlib.org. It includes all the documentation as per the even the release versions of them. If there is even there are changes which you can see after the release version of them. So go through those documents, although those are long documents. So what you can do is side by side go through these video tutorials on the YouTube. Like Corey Sheffer for NumPy, you can visit Keith Gailey. Matplotlib, you can again visit Corey Sheffer, and for Seaborn, you can visit WSQ. Right. So this is it. Along with these, go through the official documents, write down your notes, write down the formulas these libraries include, and try to memorize those formulas, try to memorize those functions, I would say, as those functions are the ones which saves you from writing lines of codes. And the best part of Python is they are already written. So you just have to know how to use them, right? If I talk about data science, so you need to add 2, 3 more libraries. So one is Seaborn, another one is TensorFlow, and the one is scikit-learn. Third one is scikit-learn. If you need to go in the field of data science, then you need to add 3 more libraries. The last topic, but not the least, is stats. Again, we miss it. Many people miss it. We just learn the skills, but no one understand the maths behind it used for being a data analyst or being a data scientist. So one must include stats. It is a must. saying it impresses the interviewer itself. If you say they you have if you mention stats, they will get the idea that you are not only the one who is handy on skills, handy on tools like Power BI, SQL, and Python only, but you know how this it works. If it comes to, they will realize that if comes there comes a situation when there is a change in data, or the client has sent some different kind of data, or there are drastic like adaptations to the data, or ad hoc research which are being made to the data, but then one should know the maths or the stats which is required to handle that data or handle the new problem. So these are the topics which you can cover. Again, covariance, log normal distribution, measure of dispersion, and all these things you can cover. And for video tutorials from where you can go through is again the free course, free content is Krish Nayak. You can get his all playlist from which you can cover the stats. And the another one which I recommended is three blue, one brown. It gives you a good understanding of the data. They have explained it very well. So one must go through, you should go through it, three blue one brown, this YouTube channel, and you will get a good idea of stats which is being used for data analysts, right? Now again, the project ideas, I told you what kind of projects you should select, you should do as per your requirement, as per the job profile you are opting for. Now here are some project ideas. These are our hyperlinks. I don't know whether you will get this PPT or not, but I will ask Niharika to share, or you can just you can just ping me on LinkedIn. I will share you the PPT only. Just ping me on LinkedIn, right? So these are the project ideas. These are all hyperlinks. If you just select this hyperlink, you will get to the resource. You will get to the data set itself. You can download the data set. These are the these are like websites and YouTube contents. So you will get step by step direction, step by step mode workflow or the work process of the data, right? How you are handling the data, and you can build the project on your own itself. These are complete end-to-end projects. Like if we talk about Power BI, so the if I talk about Power BI idea, or this is this, for example, this HR analytics, you will get the data set. You will get the link in that in this hyperlink only. You can download that data set. You can start working on the data set, importing and everything, and you will get to know, you will get to like step by step instructions how can you create the dashboard, and you can showcase the final output or final dashboard which will be created. You can also make some modifications as per you don't need to go through all the things through the instructor itself. So you can make the final modification, and all of these things, all of these skills tools, you can actually showcase, or you can actually include in your resume and tell showcase to your interviewer. So these are the projects ideas, right? You can get free. So if you need this PPT, I don't know whether you will be getting this from not, but you can text me on LinkedIn. I will just share it, the resource, right? So that's all from my end. We get the resources, we get the project ideas, why we need the data projects, and how should we select them. So if anyone have any questions, Niharika.
Yes, actually, we have some comments on the Q&A box. They are not really questions. So Sakshi has said risk modeling, and another attendee has said Power BI. If you can just be specific, we can try to answer your questions. Apart from this, there were some questions that we had by students and participants at the time of registration. Maybe we can take them up in the meantime. So one of the questions that was there, that how do you take decisions after you analyze the data?
Okay, so first of all, you need to take decisions also while you are analyzing the data. That comes under the part of feature engineering. That is all your feature engineering part. You need to understand how will you be like your data cannot, if there is a parameter in industry terms, we call it a parameter. If there is a parameter which has text values, you cannot just simply use those text values to your model. You need to convert it into 0 or 1 so that your machine can read it, right? So this all comes under feature engineering. Talking about how to take decisions after analyzing the data, the main goal is to be output oriented. Like I told you, your every project is created just so that it can save time in terms of man hour. It can generate money, right? So first thing is never like deviate from your goal. Always keep reading your problem statement, keep going through it so that it becomes clear to you that what is the problem statement and how to deal with it. And your output should only be related like oriented to your main problem statement which was in the first plate. Plus if it solves few other problems, it is well and good, but you should not forget what your main problem statement was. Niharika, you're mute.
Sorry.
It's
There's
fine.
another question: how to start solving any problem. Apart from that, I think Jivit has asked this question. He has also asked whether he can have your contact number or email ID. So what I'll do is I will quickly post in Bhugar's LinkedIn profile link here. I'm just putting it in the chat window. So if anybody wants to, get in touch with him or, have access to the slides, then they can just, sort of ping him over there. So coming back to the question, do you have any insights on this? How to start solving any problem?
Okay, so again, so start any problem, to solve any problem, you need to start processing it. Just get the data, read the problem statement. Uh, just go through at least two, three projects in every tools which I mentioned, like Excel, Power BI, and SQL. You can use the links. You can get a site step by step instruction to every problem, every project. And while you are doing it, you will get to know that how a problem is approached, how you can like step by step get to the conclusion, get to the output. How can you can create a dashboard. But if I say you ask a broader question like how to solve any problem, just start it with it first. Like do two, three projects, use those links, and if you still get any problems, feel free to ask me on LinkedIn. I will be happy to help.
Okay, so I don't think we have any more questions at this point. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much, Pugar, for coming on
No
board
worries.
and sharing your insights and also answering the questions that we had. I am just going to quickly launch a feedback poll for the audience that is still there. Just let us know that if you can see the poll, let us know that whether how the session was. Did you find it helpful? Would you be recommending it to your friends and colleagues? So this will help us to understand that if the content of the session or the topic has been helpful, and if we should take up more such topics, or we can take up different topics, so to say. So I think we are getting in a few. We are getting in a few of the feedback in the poll. So thank you so much to all the attendees who attended. I am also going to just quickly share the link of the YouTube link basically, which where the webinar is going to be available. So this is where you can watch it. You can go back and you can watch the webinar again in case you missed something. So yeah, so I'm just quickly ending the poll now since we uh, have a few entries here. So yeah, that brings us to the end of the session. Thank you so much, Pukar, once again.
Thank you so much, Niharika. And again, guys, if you have any problem, feel free to reach me on LinkedIn. You can just Niharika has shared the link, and you can just search my name. It is not that common. You can find that easily. So again,
Yeah,
thank you.
I've also shared the link. So please feel
Yes,
free to ping Pukar if you want to.
thank you so much,
Thank
Niharika.
you.
Thank you for
All
having me.
right.
Thank you all of you guys.